Ah, there you are, my dear friend. I'd hoped you might join me this evening. Come, sit here beside me. Yes, just there where the moss is thick and the ground still holds a bit of the sun's warmth from earlier. I've made room. No need to speak just yet, unless you wish to. The night is kind, and we have time, all the time in the world it feels like. You hear that? The gentle hush of the pines swaying above us, like a lullaby. Only the trees know how to sing. The wind tonight has no sharp edge to it, only softness, like a breath against the cheek. And beneath us, the forest floor is thick with fallen needles, damp and fragrant. When I settled down here, my cloak rustled over them like dry parchment. I rather like that sound. It reminds me of old books being opened for the first time in a long while. Not much more than a flicker, really. I keep it low so it doesn't frighten the night away. Its glow dances on the stones and catches on the rim of my cup. I've steeped a few leaves in warm water, lavender, mostly, just a pinch. The scent reminds me of summers long past, when I would ride through the southern fields and brush my gauntlet through the blooms. But now, well, I've traded the saddle for stillness, and I find I don't miss the riding half as much as I thought I would. The lake, look out there, through the trees. Do you see it? The surface is smooth as polished silver tonight, broken only by the occasional ripple where a curious fish kisses the air. The moon is resting on it like a pale lantern, and the stars seem to lean in to watch. There's a hush to this place, as if the whole world has paused to breathe with us. It makes one feel very small and very safe. I like to imagine that the lake listens to us, that it remembers every whispered word shared beside it, keeps them tucked beneath its surface, like secrets in the dark. Maybe tonight it will remember this moment too. Two old souls sitting close, with nothing to prove and nowhere to be. Take your time, my friend. Let the weight slide off your shoulders. You've carried enough for one day, maybe for many days. Here there's no need for burdens, only the quiet companionship of a fire, a lake and a friend who asks for nothing more than your company. Can you smell the earth? That cool, damp scent rising from the moss and stone. It's mingled with the sweet burn of pine sap in the air, and beneath it, just the faintest trace of smoke. Not harsh, no, not at all. It's the sort of smoke that clings to wool and lingers in the folds of your cloak, long after the fire's gone out. The kind that reminds you later that you were warm once. There are fireflies here too. They come out just after the twilight fades. Not many tonight, but enough. One brushed past my hand earlier, its glow so faint I thought I'd imagined it. But then another appeared, and another, and soon it was as if the air itself had been strung with tiny lanterns. A quiet festival, just for us. I think they like it when we speak softly. I think they know peace when they feel it. Even the stones here are warm to the touch. Smooth, round, and old as time. I sometimes rest my hand on them, grounding myself, reminding myself that the world is still turning, even if I am still stillness. I've learned is not the same as idleness. Sometimes it is the most courageous thing a person can do. So breathe, my friend, deeply, if you can. Let the cool air fill your chest, and let it leave again, carrying with it all the noise of the day. Let it go. Let it drift away into the branches above, where the owls are nesting and the stars are listening. There is nothing to fix tonight, nothing to chase, nothing to finish, only this moment, only this quiet, and me, an old knight at rest, keeping watch not with blade or banner, but with stories and silence, and with you beside me. Let's not rush the night. It has only just begun. Ah, breathe it in, my dear friend. Do you feel that? The air is thick with stillness. Not heavy, no, but full. As if every pine needle, every breeze, every glimmering star has paused, just for us. As if the world has remembered how to hush itself. We are in a glade one few stumble across, and fewer still remember the way back to. It is not marked on any map. It bears no name, wears no crest, answers to no lord. And that, I think, is what makes it sacred. Sacred not in the way of sanctuaries, with carved stone and whispered prayers, but in the way of wild things, untamed, unclaimed, true. Look around you, slowly, and you'll begin to see what I mean. The trees here are old, older than my years could ever touch. Towering pines, their trunks straight and resolute, their branches stretched wide like arms in quiet blessing. The bark is furrowed deep with time, rough and sweet-scented, exhaling a faint perfume of resin and rain. They speak in sighs, these trees. Each breath of wind passing through them carries a secret, a story, a song that's been sung since before men built walls. And oh, that wind, soft tonight, barely a flutter. It curls gently through the canopy, tugging at stray threads on my cloak, ruffling the wild herbs at our feet. It doesn't rush, doesn't bite. It simply moves, like a lullaby, without melody, a memory without words. There's something tender in its voice, isn't there? As if the forest itself is leaning close to murmur. Rest now. You've come far enough. Beneath us, the earth is a patchwork of stone and moss and roots. Soft where the moss grows thick, cool where the stones lie smooth and undisturbed. Some stones are veined with pale silver, and when the firelight catches them, they gleam like moon water. The moss is springy under your fingers, damp with the evening's dew. It holds the scent of rich soil, pine needles, and the faintest trace of blooming lavender, a scent that belongs to dusk, to endings, to dreams, and the lake. Ah, just look, there she is, spread out before us like a secret mirror, utterly still but never lifeless. Her surface holds the sky so clearly you'd swear the stars had come to bathe. There's no wave, no rush, only the gentlest lapping, as if the water and the shore are sharing quiet affections too old for words. Sometimes a breeze will ripple across, and the moon breaks into shards of light, dancing across the glass. I've watched this lake in all seasons. I've seen her wear the white hush of snow, the bright eyes of spring lilies, the copper hush of autumn leaves. But like this, quiet and bare beneath the stars, this is when she speaks. Not aloud, no, but with presence, with weight. You'll feel it if you let her in. A stillness so complete it holds you like a warm blanket. And the fireflies, yes, they've begun their wandering, slow, golden sparks weaving through the brush, bobbing over stones, lighting nothing in particular. They do not gather, not quite, nor do they leave. They simply drift. And in their drifting, they remind me how beautiful it can be to go nowhere at all. To simply be glowing, soft, unnoticed, except by those who truly look. They do not light the way. They are the way, a gentle kind of wonder that asks nothing of you. There's a clump of herbs just beside us, wild thyme, some creeping mint, and a bit of violet, growing stubbornly between the rocks. If you press your fingers to the thyme and lift it to your nose, it smells of warm stone and sun-dried mornings. The mint is sharper, cooler, like river air before a summer storm. They thrive here, tucked low to the ground, quiet in their usefulness. I've brewed tea from these leaves on many nights, sometimes alone, sometimes with company. It soothes the chest, they say, and I believe it. But more than that, I think, the act of preparing them, of holding something small and living in your hand, it teaches the heart to slow, to notice, to give thanks for tiny comforts. Far off, a night bird calls, a long, low sound, melancholy, but not mournful. It does not cry out, it releases. That's what the sound is, a letting go. I've heard that same bird for years now, though I've never seen it. Some say it's the spirit of the forest, singing in its sleep. Others say it's a guardian, watching over dreamers. I don't know the truth of it, but I welcome its song. It reminds me that some mysteries are better left untouched. Even the air tastes different here. Cool, yes, but not biting. It slides past the tongue like silk drawn through fingers, carrying with it the scent of wood smoke from our little fire, the mineral tang of the lake, the peppery scent of crushed greenery. When I breathe it in, it feels like an old memory brushing against my ribs, the kind you can't place, but know by heart. And the stars, my friend, I do not exaggerate when I say they are singing tonight. Not with sound, no, but with light. The sky is a river of them, silver, soft, scattered across the heavens like some patient god spilled a bag of pearls. Some flicker shyly, others blaze with quiet confidence. One or two shoot across the sky now and then, too fast to catch, like thoughts you meant to say but lost in the hush. Have you ever looked at the stars long enough that they begin to feel close, as though they're not up there, but around you, watching you, keeping you, whispering to one another about you in a language older than time? Sometimes I think they remember everything, all the dreams ever dreamt beneath them, all the soft words, the silent promises, the tears not wept aloud. They carry it all, and they shine not because we look, but because they see. This forest glade, this lake, these stars, they do not ask for anything. They do not demand we become more than we are. Here, you are welcome, exactly as you are, with all you carry, and all you've let go. You can lay your heart down here, and the moss will hold it. The wind will hush it. The stars will bless it. No banners hang above us. No walls press in. No need to impress, or confess, or explain. Just sit, breathe. Let the quiet wash over you. We are cradled, you and I, cradled by the earth, and the sky and everything in between. This world, when it chooses to be still, is more tender than we know. Ah, my dear friend, you've heard the fire crackling long enough. Perhaps now is the moment I should speak more plainly, if you'd allow, about me, about who it is that sits beside you in the dark. Boots worn soft, voice low, breath steady, not a mystery truly, just a man. I am a knight, yes, though the title has long since slipped from my shoulders like a heavy cloak no longer needed. I do not carry it before me as I once did. It does not define me now. It is not written in the way I walk or how I speak. It is folded up quietly, resting among the rest of my years, and I carry it now, only in spirit. No crest, no ceremony, just the quiet shape of something once lived fully. The truth is, I do not often speak of myself anymore, not because I have nothing to say, but because the stillness has taught me the pleasure of listening. But here, in this quiet place, this glade beside the silver lake, with you beside me, I feel something gentle stir in my chest, as though the wind itself has given me permission to speak, not boastfully, no, just truthfully. You see, I have traveled far, not just in distance, but in seasons, in heart. There were days long ago, when my boots were caked with road dust, when I would rise before the dawn and ride into morning mists with purpose sharp and unyielding. Days when the world demanded that I be steadfast, brave, ever moving. There were banners, there were oaths, there were feasts held in great halls, where the stone walls echoed with laughter that felt like thunder. There were rituals and rites and reverent bows, the sort that remind you how small you are, beneath stained glass and polished armor. I wore armor once, not just upon my body, but around my spirit, a kind of silence, a kind of posture that made others trust me more and made it harder to hear my own thoughts. And yet even then, even in the midst of ceremony, I longed for the sound of wind through leaves, for the quiet ache of twilight, for the solitude that allows the heart to unfold like a fern, slow and without fear. It took me many years to understand that longing wasn't weakness, it was a calling. So, when the time came, and it always does, friend, when one lives long enough, I began to let go. First the sword, which I wrapped in soft cloth and placed beneath a beam of oak, not cast away, no, just allowed to sleep. Then the saddle left behind in a barn, where the horse who bore me faithfully could graze freely and grow old without weight. Then the crests, the sigils, the polished boots and embroidered tunics. One by one I stepped out of them, until only I remained, and this, here, is who you sit beside now. A man with weathered hands, who feels the ache of cold in his joints. A man whose hair carries more silver than gold, but also a man with a heart not burdened, but opened. Do you know the feeling of walking a long path, and only at the end do you realize how heavy your pack had become? You remove it, and suddenly your whole body feels like a prayer. That is what this chapter of life feels like to me. A shedding, a loosening. I do not mourn the years before, I cherish them. Truly, they built the bones I sit with. But I no longer crave the clang of ceremony or the bright shine of approval. What I crave now is this, the hush, the moss, the stars above and the lake before me and your breath beside mine. I suppose you could say I am in a kind of retirement, but I do not think of it that way. It is not an ending, it is a return to who I was before I knew what was expected of me, to the young boy who used to lie in a field of grass and wonder why the clouds moved faster on some days than others, to the youth who once followed a firefly for so long he forgot the road, to the simple joy of not knowing, of not needing to. Some might call it loneliness, this solitude of mine, but no, I do not feel alone. I feel accompanied by the wind, by the memories that do not haunt but hum, by the slow rhythm of a life that no longer rushes. I think often these days about wonder, how easily it slips through our hands when we run too fast, how it lingers, however, in the edges of quiet things, a dewdrop, a crooked tree, the way a bird tucks its head beneath its wing before sleep. I have become a collector of such moments, tiny, glimmering truths, like stones smoothed by the river. You cannot carry many, and you cannot hoard them, but you can notice them. You can place them in your heart one by one, until it feels full in a way that gold could never manage. And so, my friend, if you ask me who I am no longer the knight with the sharpest blade. I am the one who remembers which rock the moss grows thickest on, who knows where the fox dens are in spring, who brews tea with mint and dried chamomile, not because it heals, but because it comforts. I am the one who sits with you in silence, and does not seek to fill it, only to honor it. And now you know a little more of me. Not the titles, not the deeds, just the soul behind them. Tired, yes, but not with defeat, with living, with loving, with letting go. So stay if you will, let us rest together. No need to speak more than you wish. The stars are listening, and the lake is kind, and this old knight is exactly where he needs to be. Look here beside me, dear friend, just here, beneath the fringe of ivy and the folded edge of my cloak. Do you see it? The lantern, old, a bit dented along the rim, its iron frame dulled to a dusky gray, like pewter left too long in the rain. yet still whole, still sound, still ready to carry light. I've kept it with me longer than most things, truth be told, through seasons that came and went with little warning, through quiet nights and gentle years. There are days when I forget it's even in my satchel. And then evenings like this, when it calls to me as gently as an old friend's voice. Tonight is one of those evenings. I've decided I'll light it again, as I do every year on this night, not out of grief, mind you, no, but out of love, out of the kind of remembrance that does not ache but warms. It was given to me, this lantern, long ago, before the weight of duty ever bent my shoulders, before armor, before banners, before I even knew what a knight was. I was just a boy then, barefoot more often than not, always with dirt on my knees and a mind filled with dreams. My closest companion in those days was a friend, my dearest friend really, not of noble birth, not trained in arms, but filled with one, always speaking of strange things, ideas like rivers that remember footsteps, or trees that keep the stories of birds. And the lake, this lake, the one before us now, was their favorite place. They believed quite earnestly that if you sat by its edge long enough, it would begin to show you things, not reflections as we know them, but memories. Forgotten dreams, they said, had a way of floating to the surface, gentle, wordless thing. They thought the water listened more closely than people did. One day they brought me this lantern, small hands cradling it like it was made of spun glass, though it was simple enough. Iron, glass panes, a little hinge and latch. They'd wrapped ivy around its handle, and the leaves were still green, still living. I remember that. I remember thinking it looked as if it had grown that way, as if the lantern had always been a part of the woods. They said, "This is for the nights you forget what light feels like." I didn't know then how much I'd need that. How many nights would come when I'd forget the shape of peace. But I never forgot those words. And now, well, they are gone from this world, long gone. Not lost, no, not to me. Gone in the way a star disappears at dawn. Not vanished, only resting somewhere the eyes cannot follow. And so each year on the eve of their parting, I light this lantern, not to mourn, no, never that, but to remember, to sit by the lake they loved, and let its stillness wrap around the moment like a shawl. I've found that lighting a lantern in the dark, especially an old one, becomes more than just the act of flame meeting wick. It becomes a ceremony, a quiet declaration that the past is not gone, that what we carry, if carried gently, can become warmth. The ivy around the handle has withered and returned many times over. In some seasons it's green again, curling in tiny spirals like it remembers how it once grew there. In others, like tonight, it's brittle, soft brown threads twined in loops. I never remove it. I let it be, because even in its faded form, it's part of the story. You see, dear friend, this lantern, it is my gentle quest, a quest that never takes me far from where I sit, a quest with no foe to face, no path to conquer, only a promise that once a year I will light the memory of someone who gave me wonder. The flame I strike is small, just a flicker really, but oh, how it dances in the glass, casting golden patterns on the moss, and on your hands, and on the surface of the lake beyond. The light it gives is soft and steady, and somehow it always feels older than the flame should be, as if the memory itself is burning with it. There's something tender in the way the lantern hums when the wind touches it. You hear that soft hollow tone like a bell without a chime. I think the glass sings, just a little, when it warms. And every time I light it, I find myself falling quiet. Not solemn, no, just reverent, as if I've stepped into a chapel without walls. The trees become pillars, the stars, candles, the water, a still altar that reflects without judging. In that silence, I remember things I didn't even know I'd forgotten. like the sound of their laughter, the way their hair was always windswept, no matter how calm the day, the way they believed not with reason but with faith, that the world was full of secret kindnesses. I used to argue with them about that. I was practical, even as a child. I'd say the world is hard, and they would say yes, but not only. Not only that phrase stayed with me. So many times in my life, I have faced shadow, friend, not just the outer kind, but the inward one, the kind that creeps in when the fire grows low, and the silence feels too large, and in those moments their words come back. The world is hard, but not only. There is also the hush of wind in pines, the glow of a lantern in an old knight's hands, the presence of a dear friend beside him. And so, this is my task, my ritual, my gentle vow, to light this lantern, not to ward off the dark, but to speak softly to it, to remind myself that grief can become gratitude, if held with care, that memory can be a place to rest, not a wound to reopen. You, sitting here beside me now, you are part of it, you know, part of the light, because when I share this story, when I strike the flint and the glow begins again, I'm not alone in the remembering. You carry it too, not the weight of it, no, but the warmth, and that makes the ritual deeper, richer, more real. So, let it glow, dear friend, let it shine between us. This soft and steady light, we need not speak more tonight. The flame says enough. It says I was here. It says they mattered. It says this moment is sacred, not because of what is lost, but because of what is kept, and what we keep, what we carry with love, never truly fades. Let the flame burn low and steady, let the night wrap round it like a blessing, and let us sit quietly beside the lake of forgotten dreams, remembering, together. Yes, do you see how the lantern glows now? Not too brightly, no. It wouldn't dare interrupt the hush around us, but just enough to gild the rim of your hand in soft gold, to flicker faintly against the stones and dance along the threads of my old cloak. This is the hour I love most, the moment when the light has settled and the fireflies begin to drift a little nearer, drawn perhaps by the quiet company, when the world has tipped fully into stillness, and even the lake seems to breathe slower. It's in times like this, my friend, that the memories come easiest. Not the loud ones, the grand tales or victories, shouted from high towers. No, those fade, strangely enough. What stays, what lingers, are the quiet things, the little pieces, moments so small they nearly passed unnoticed, yet somehow they stitched themselves into the very fabric of me. I wonder if I might share a few with you, just softly. They don't ask to be told, but sometimes they like to be remembered. There was a boy once, not me, another. He used to chase fireflies barefoot through the fields just beyond the orchard wall. I remember the way his laughter echoed, wild and free, as if even the night itself was laughing with him. His feet would leave faint prints in the dewy grass, and he'd try to catch the tiny lights with his hands cupped like a prayer. He never held them long, always let them go gently, watching them float back into the dark like stars returning to the sky. I used to sit on the stone ledge just outside the stables and watch him, wishing I had his courage to delight in such simple things, wishing I knew how to laugh without watching for who was listening. He taught me that wonder doesn't need to be it's there, waiting, if you're still enough to see it. And there was a girl too. She carved stones, smooth river pebbles mostly, carried them in a little satchel made from old curtain cloth. Each one had a mark on it. Some looked like suns, some spirals, others were just shapes she liked. She said they were for luck, not her luck. No, she gave them away, to anyone. A baker's boy with trembling hands, a knight squire before his first march, Even the stable cat once. She left one in his bowl with a sprig of mint. I remember the one she gave me. It had a feather etched into it. She told me for when you need to remember how light things can be. I kept it tucked in my satchel for years. I think I still have it somewhere. Then there's the memory of laughter. Oh, that laughter. Not mine alone, nor any one person's, but our. The kind that filled the castle halls before duty dulled our voices. We were young then, too young to know how rare such laughter would become. It echoed through high ceilings and along stone corridors, loud enough to confuse the ravens roosting in the upper beam. Sometimes we laughed for no reason at all. Other times, over bread gone stale, or the way the cook's dog barked at its own reflection. That laughter, it was like music you didn't need to learn. It just happened, and when it did, you felt for a moment as though the world was entirely good, entirely possible. I think that's what I miss most, not the halls or the feasts or the pageantry, but that shared delight, that open-hearted joy, the kind that needs nothing but presence. The forest holds its own memories from when I was a little older, new to the knighthood, but still tender at the core. I would walk these woods in the early hours, just before dawn when the mist hung low and every leaf was painted with dew. I was meant to be practicing sword forms, of course, but often I wandered instead, not far, just far enough to feel unknown again, and in that quiet I saw things I can still see when I close my eyes. A pair of foxes darting between trees, their fur bright against the damp underbrush. One stopped long enough to meet my eyes, and in that moment I swear I felt something ancient pass between us. Not fear, not challenge, just knowing. Or the time I watched a crow break open a walnut against a stone. Clever as any scholar, he looked quite proud of himself, as though he'd solved the mysteries of the world. I suppose in his way he had. And the starlight, friend, there are moments when I remember the starlight more vividly than anything else. There was one night I don't remember what had troubled me, only that I walked alone and wept beneath a sky so clear, it felt like the stars could hear me. And maybe they did. The starlight that night fell in beams between the branches, caught in the leaves like bits of silver thread. It didn't comfort me in the way a warm fire might, but it held me. It didn't try to change my sorrow, it simply made space for it. That's when I first learned the difference between emptiness and stillness. Stillness is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of calm, a kind of listening that doesn't rush to fix, just welcomes. Sometimes silence feels like a soft room, lined with blankets made of air and moss and starlight. You can step inside it and rest there, unspoken, and the world will not tug at your sleeves. I've found comfort in that kind of silence, and I think that's what this moment is now. You and I, here, beneath stars and beside flame, with the lantern glowing low and the trees leaning in close. This is not a place of answers. It's a place of presence. And I wonder, have you noticed how often wonder hides in the simplest things? The way the wind changes direction just before it rains, the texture of a pine cone tightly closed like a fist keeping secrets, or the hush that comes just after you speak a truth aloud. All these tiny marvels, they've become my companions, my discoveries, not grand, not loud, but they're mine. Even this cup of tea, yes, the one cooling beside the fire, made from herbs I gathered along the path. Wild chamomile, a few sprigs of thyme, a trace of dried rose. The flavor is earthy, soft, a bit like drinking memory itself. There's nothing extraordinary in it. And yet, each sip feels like a gift from the land, a gentle offering. Here, rest. Remember, you see, dear one, discovery does not always mean finding something new. Sometimes it means seeing something again, but more deeply, noticing the life in it, the the feeling tucked behind it. I think that's what all of these memories have become. Not stories I own, but places I can return to when the heart needs warmth. And your presence here beside me, makes those memories shine a little brighter. Because when a memory is shared, even quietly, even without reply, it becomes something else. A kind of bridge, a lantern lit in two directions. So let's let the fire crackle and the lantern hum, and the stars blink overhead like sleepy watchers. Let the foxes rest in their dens, and the wind rustle through the grass without needing to be heard. Let time go on unmeasured for a while. You're safe here, my friend, not because of me, but because of this stillness, this moment, this place where discovery is slow and gentle and deeply, deeply kind. And if you find as the night deepens, that your own memories rise like fireflies, soft and glowing, half forgotten, that's all right. Let them come, let them drift. You needn't catch them. Just watch, just smile. They too are part of your quiet treasure, your gentle quest. And here, together we are discoverers still. Let me rest my back against the trunk here a while longer. Yes, like that. The bark presses gently into my shoulder, and the earth beneath me, cool and patient, cradles me like an old friend. The lantern still glows faintly beside us, your presence quiet and steady as a comfort in itself. You know, my dear friend, lately I've been thinking about time, not in the way I once did, not like a clock tower bell, or the sand slipping through a polished glass, not even as a thing to measure. No, time, as I've come to feel it now, is something altogether different. I think it may be more like a tapestry. Yes, a woven cloth of moments, delicate threads pull through each other, some bright, some dim, some loose at the edge. Each thread alone might seem small, insignificant even, but together they make something that holds. For so long, I carried time like a burden, something on my back, heavy and pressing, a list of days, of duties, of miles traveled, of things left undone. I was always aware of its weight, always trying to race ahead of it or make up for it, or wrestle it into meaning. But now, here, in this glade, with the hush of night all around and stars blinking slowly above us, time doesn't feel heavy anymore. It feels like a soft thing, a lived-in thing, something to wrap around your shoulders when the wind comes through the trees, a thing that has shaped me, yes, but not broken me. You see, time teaches quietly often when we're not looking, and perhaps its greatest lesson is this: peace is not a prize we earn. It's not won on battlefields or etched into the stone of monuments. No, it is accepted, like a cup of warm tea held in trembling hands, like the scent of lilac drifting in through an open window, like a gentle voice, yours perhaps, saying, "Rest now, you've done enough." I used to think I had to achieve peace, as if it were a crown given only when I had proven myself. But now I see, peace is here, always, waiting, soft and patient. We only have to stop clenching our fists long enough to hold it. And what better teacher of peace than the season? The way spring never demands applause for its return. It simply arrives, greening the hills and scattering blossoms like whispered blessings. Or the way summer spills golden light over everything without asking permission, lingering long into evening. Autumn too has its lessons, letting go, gently, letting leaves fall when they are ready, not before. And winter shows us that stillness is not death. It is preparation, a sacred pause. No scroll ever taught me more than a year spent noticing the land. No philosopher's ink ever felt as honest as the hush of snow on the rooftop. And people, oh people, we pass through each other's lives like shadows at dusk, brief but unmistakably real. I used to believe the ones who left were gone, lost, like ships that vanish into fog. But now I see differently. I see that people leave trails behind them, not footprints, those fade, but warmth. A kind word remembered decades later, a gesture, a glance, a song hummed softly at dusk. Even those I've forgotten names for, I remember the feeling of them, the shape they left behind in me. And isn't that something beautiful? To know that we are shaped not just by great events, but by the nearness of souls who shared their quiet with us. I think of the friend who gave me this lantern. Their name, well, it fades at the edges now, but the memory of their kindness, that remains whole. They taught me to see light in small things, in flickers, in silence. And you know what else, my friend? I believe the stars remember. I do, I truly do. Not like scribes, tallying facts in books, but in their own way, softly. Through light, each star blinking above us has witnessed more than we could ever speak aloud. It's watched centuries rise and fall, watched lovers hold hands beside the same lakes, watched a young knight cry into his cloak under the weight of doubt. And the stars did not turn away. They did not speak, but they saw, and they kept shining. Isn't there comfort in that? To know that the sky remembers us, even when we forget ourselves. Sometimes when I am very still, I wonder if all the moments I thought were lost are simply waiting to return, like moths to a lantern, drawn not by brilliance, but by warmth. That's what I want to be now. Not a hero, not a legend, just a small light, steady, quiet, warm enough to draw a few memories home. Perhaps that's all we truly long for. In the end, to be remembered not for what we did, but for how we made others feel, for the warmth we left behind, for the softness in our presence, for the way we listened and held space and honored the silences between words. And you, dear friend, you are part of this too, part of my tapestry. Every word we share in the quiet is a thread. Every sigh, every moment we sit in stillness together, it weaves something lasting, something that no age or winter can undo. So, if ever you find yourself feeling forgotten or weary or adrift in a world that moves too quickly, remember this: you have already left light in someone's life. You have already mattered. And the stars, they saw you. They still do. Let's sit a little longer. Let the fire settle low. Let the breeze carry our breath up into the branches, where the owls dream and the pine cones sleep. Time is not chasing us now. It's resting with us, wrapped in this moment. A tapestry of now, of memory, of peace. Do you feel that, dear friend? That subtle shift in the air, as if even the wind has grown drowsy, as though the forest itself is beginning to rest alongside it. The fire has quieted, its flame no longer dancing, but swaying slowly, like a lullaby hummed without voice. It glows low now, curled deep into the embers, as if it too has grown tired and seeks its own kind of sleep. And the lantern, still beside us, still brave in its little way, flickers now and then, casting golden shimmers across the stones and leaves, as though it breathes with us. Its light is softer than before, almost shy, a warm hush in glow. My body too, how it yields to stillness, like a leaf folding itself against the chill. My limbs grow heavy, but not in sorrow, not in pain. No, it is a sacred weight, this, the weight of a body that has lived well, that has wandered and wondered, that has carried joy and ache alike, and now finds solace in simply being still. You've seen me, haven't you, over these quiet hours, sitting, breathing, remembering. I've spoken more than I do most days, and now my words begin to drift like leaves on this lake surface, carried by nothing but the breath of evening. There's peace in this, not the peace of silence alone, but of closeness, of knowing you've shared something without needing to hold it too tightly. When I was younger, I feared stillness. I thought it meant being forgotten, or worse, being done. But now I know stillness is not the absence of life. It's what life returns to when it has loved enough for one day. It's the final note of a lullaby, the way a candle leans before going out, not in despair but in rest. And the heart, when unburdened, oh, it does not fade. It glows, not with fire, no, but with something gentler, a light that does not burn but warm, like the final coals of a hearth after midnight, the kind of glow that tells you a place has been lived in and loved in. I think my heart feels like that now, luminous in its own quiet way. It's strange how even in the soft ache of memory, there is comfort. Perhaps it is because remembering reminds us that we were once part of something lovely, that our story was not written alone. There's a sweetness in the ache tonight, the kind that sits behind the eyes, not to bring tears, no, but to bring closeness, as though those I've spoken of, those long gone or far away, have come to rest near us, drawn in by the hush, by the warmth, by the listening. Thank you, my friend. Not just for being here, though that in itself is more than I can say, but for your stillness, your presence, your willingness to sit beside me in this gentle hour and let time slow. You have made this night into something more than solitude. You have made it sacred. It isn't always easy to be present, to set aside the noise, the spinning of thoughts, the weight of everything undone, but you've done that tonight. You've chosen stillness, and in doing so you've offered me a gift, one I will remember each time I return to this lake. The stars above are brighter now, fewer clouds, the sky feels wider, and the trees don't seem quite so tall anymore. Everything is settling into itself. Even the water has stilled completely. So still, in fact, that the lantern's reflection trembles with every beat of the flame, as if the lake itself is breathing with us. Isn't that something, to know that even nature responds to our calm, that the world, when we offer it peace, offers peace in return? It makes me think, perhaps all things in life long for rest in their own way. The fire, the lake, the wind, the stars, and us too. And there's no shame in that, no failure, only a return, a slow exhale, a soft unwinding. Let me lie back just for a moment, if you don't mind. There, the earth is cool beneath my spine, the moss forgiving, the stone at my side curved just so, like a cradle, and the stars, oh the stars, they look different when you lie down, don't they? More like lanterns held in a great hand, still, quiet, watching over. I wonder if one day I will become part of that sky, not as a star, no, but as a hush between them, as a memory carried in the light. And if you ever look up years from now, perhaps you'll find that hush again. Perhaps you'll feel this moment return to you, the warmth, the fire, the sound of a night's voice growing slow, trailing like a breeze between pine branches. I think I'll stop speaking soon, not out of tiredness alone, but because silence feels more fitting now. You know those moments when words would only disturb something beautiful? This is one of them. But before I go quiet, let me say this. I am grateful for your company, for your stillness, for the gentle ache of memory made softer by your presence. And if I fall asleep here beside you, if my breathing slows and my words drift fully into silence, know that it is not because I am leaving. It is because I trust the hush, and I trust you, the lake. She accepts us, and in doing so, she accepts the night. Let us rest then, not forever, just for now. Let the lantern dim, let the fire sigh, let the world, just for this moment, be nothing more than stillness and stars and breath. Good night, dear friend, good night. My voice grows soft now, dear friend, softer than the wind that moves through the pines above us. Just enough breath left to carry these final thoughts to you, like a feather resting gently in the palm of night. You've stayed with me through the hush, through the firelight, through the long drift of memory, and now we come to the edge of the night, the place where words become whispers, and the world begins to fold into dream. So, let me leave you with a blessing, not a grand one. No flourish, no ceremony, just something simple, something quiet and true. May your dreams be peaceful, my friend, the kind that unfold slowly, like mist across still water. May they be gentle and strange, in the best of ways, filled with fields of silver grass, quiet laughter from long ago, and skies that never quite darken. May you wake to soft light on your face, the kind that slips through a curtain and kisses your cheek without ever asking. And may the first breath of morning feel like promise, not pressure, like a beginning, not a bird. May your heart, wherever it lies tonight, be held lightly by the world around it. May it be untroubled, or if it must ache, may it ache softly, the kind of ache that makes room for healing. And may you carry, tucked gently inside you, a lantern of your own, one that glows for no one but you, a warm, steady light. Picture it now, if you'd like, its frame perhaps brass, or iron, or simple wood. The glow inside, not harsh, not bright, but golden and calm, like memory, like trust, like hope that doesn't shout. Let it rest beside the lake within you, that quiet, private place we all carry, even if we rarely visit. Let it glow just enough to remind you that you are never far from peace. And if, one day, the world grows loud again, as it so often does, return here, in your heart. Return to this stillness. Return to the hush of fire and moss and pine. Return to the sound of my voice, soft though it may be. And know, you are not alone. Even now, as the stars blink above us like tired eyes, as the fire sighs into its embers, as my breath slows and the hush deepens, I am here, with you, and I will be here, in the rhythm of sleep, in the shape of silence, in the memory of warmth shared beneath the sky. So rest, dear friend, let go, let your wrath grow quiet, let the night hold you as I have, with care and without condition. Good night, let the stars keep watch, and let the silence carry you home.